Hi everyone, this is CLC, also known as Symphony, the owner and creator of the site symphony.com. I'll link you down below. I'm coming to you with a series of videos that I wish had been around when I was looking to create custom content for The Sims 4. I wanted to make videos for anyone who was interested in creating clothing, meshes, and recolors for the game, but they didn't know where to start. I remember being completely overwhelmed by the multitude of videos, tutorials on websites, and just wishing that there was a static line where I could learn from beginning to middle to end. I decided I would help anyone out who was looking to create custom clothing for the game and just needed a little direction on how to get started. I want to add a disclaimer that this is not a tutorial series. I don't believe that anyone can really give you a tutorial on how to create for the game. I think that there are certain steps that you need to take in order to get your content into the game, and that's one thing. But as far as creation goes, it comes down to what you would like to see in your game. And that's definitely something that I want to stress. Please make sure that anything that you decide to create is something you're passionate about, or you're going to get frustrated very easily, you're going to feel overwhelmed, and you're not going to feel that pride that courses through your veins at seeing your creation in game. While it's wonderful to want to create to make other people happy, you should definitely make sure that anything that you create makes you happy first and foremost. I'm not sure exactly how many videos there will be, but I would like to make a video for Sims4Studio, Photoshop, Marvelous Designer, and Blender at the very least. Once again, I just want to stress that this is not a tutorial. Please do not feel like you need to follow every step that I'm doing to a T in order to create for yourself. These are just the steps that I've taken to make my own custom content, and I definitely encourage you to march to the beat of your own drum. If you have any questions, if there are any suggestions, comments, tips, tricks, techniques, I'm always here. You can either comment down below in the notes, or you can private message me here on YouTube if you're more comfortable doing it that way. Or you can go to my site, go to Fact Answers and Questions, go to Contact Me, and send me an email at symphonycc@aol.com. All right, so let's get started with the video. Hi YouTubers, Symphony back again with the very next video in our series. So in this video, as I stated at the very end of the first video, in which we just kind of went over Sims4 Studio and where to download it, what plugins you need, etc. In this video, we're going to be focusing on Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop version 3, CS3, and that is the version that I will be using for all of my tutorials. I have used later versions, and they're a little bit different in terms of like the workspace, the background color, stuff like that. But the things I'm going to be showing you, however, are static. I'm not going to be doing anything that only can be done with one version that can't be done with another. So if you do have later versions of Photoshop, you should be able to follow along just fine. I believe I've used GIMP in the past. I don't really recall what I was able to do with it, but I know that it has similar properties. I was able to kind of get something similar to the effects that I'm using for Photoshop. So I will be looking into GIMP in the future just so that I can come back and say, okay, well, I know I do this and that with Photoshop, and, I was able to create the same effect in GIMP by doing this and that. I'm going to just basically do it to help anyone out who doesn't have Photoshop. But, there are different resources, different places. If you Google where you should be able to use Photoshop online, I know that they do these deals where you're able to pay monthly. There are ways, workarounds, but that is the program I'm going to be using. And I do apologize to anyone who's using other programs and just kind of feels like they're watching this just to see what Photoshop can do. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it'll encourage you to get the program. So here is our Sims4 Studio screen. Once again, we're at our main page. We're going to be recoloring two different meshes. The first is going to be a t-shirt that we're going to be recoloring for little kids.
what I'm going to do, as I did before, is to go to create a sim and leave the create cast standalone option ticked. Click on the button. Species will be human. Gender I'm going to leave as all because it's a unisex top for children. Age is going to be child. Okay, and you see it immediately filters down to children. And then part type is going to be top. Okay, so we have our long sleeve top, we have our tank tops, and then we have our t-shirts. So the very first thing that I'm going to do, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a green t-shirt, just for the sake of showing you how you can alter the color before you add your logo, which is exactly what we're going to be doing. I have a t-shirt logo that I'm going to be adding to this. It's a very simple technique. It's very direct, but it also allows you to see how I keep, you see these folds, these, wrinkles and creases. I keep those underneath my logo, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So we're going to select our green t-shirt. We're going to go to next. And I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to make a new folder and I'm going to call it Simpsons t-shirt. I'm just all over the place with that spelling, huh? So it's going to be a Simpsons t-shirt. And I'm going to create a folder for kids. And you can name it whatever you want to, but I always name it the same thing at the beginning, which is my website, Sims4Studio.com _. And then I'm going to put C top. If it was a female child, I would put CF top. If it was a male child, I'd put CM top. Just to give you an idea of the reason why I name it that. Put another _. And then I name it exactly what I said. Simpsons. And you don't put any apostrophes. Hyphens and periods are as far as you want to go. I would also refrain from, you can do periods, but I would say hyphens or underscores. The only time I put a period in there is if I'm doing it for my site name. So Sims4Studio.com _C top _ Simpsons. I'm going to say Lion King t-shirt. And you'll see why I'm naming it this. So I'm just going to copy this, which is basically Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and I'm going to hit enter. And here you have your viewport with your green t-shirt. Okay. So now you're able to see the designs I was telling you about, just the shadowing. Once again, you're using your right mouse button and holding it down and dragging it to the left, dragging it, left or right to basically be able to, take a look at all aspects of your t-shirt. The reason I chose green, as I said, is because I do want to show you how to remove the color from it. I could have chosen the white one, and I still remove the color from that because in this game, white is never white. It's like a purplish, bluish, but it's kind of like, muted so that it looks white, but you want to remove it completely. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. I use the same process. It's just that I don't have to lighten it as much as I'm going to have to lighten this, this shirt because the green is kind of dark compared to the game's white. So I'm going to export, and you can either begin to retype the name of your file, as I said before, or you can just press Control V and it comes up, it pops up, and you can just say save. Window is going to pop up to show you the two files you now have saved in this folder. This is your package file, and if you keep your mouse hovered above it and don't click, you'll see package file, and this is your DDS file. And this is the file. The DDS file is what you're going to need to recolor in order to bring the file into your game. So this is what we're going to be opening up in Photoshop. You can close this window.
So here is our t-shirt file. And as you can see, it is the same as what we have here in our viewport on Sims4Studio. So what we're going to do is we can either come here, which is our zoom tool, and we can just click 3 times, or you can press Control, hold it down, and click the plus button, which is next to your backspace button. You can do that 3 times. You can also come up here to View and choose Zoom In or Zoom Out, and it tells you here Control and the plus sign, or to zoom out, control and the minus sign. You can just do it as many times as you need. I usually go about 3 times. I feel like anything more than that, and it's a little too detailed for me. So you can see all of the shadows, all of the shading that I was telling you about before. And we are going to first remove the green color from our t-shirt. So the very first thing we're going to do is come here to Image, Adjustments, and we're going to go to Black and White. Okay, so as you can see, it changes it to like a really dark gray color. I don't need to change anything here because we are perfectly fine with that. We have completely stripped the color from our shirt. So it's, of course, a dark gray, and we want to make it lighter. We want to make it a nice white, not too white. If you make anything too white in the game, if you make it as white as this background color, for instance, it's going to look really eerie in your game. It's just going to look like, I don't know, like a very fake looking top. It's not going to look as detailed. You're not going to see any of the details because it's going to be like glowing almost. You want to make sure that there's still some definition. So we just want to make it like a very light gray. So what we're going to do is go to brightness and contrast. And we're just going to move this up. Okay, you want to play with the contrast just a little bit, not too much though, because then it gives it too much definition here. You see, it makes it look like kind of plastic. So it's more so important to play with brightness. And like I said, you don't want to make it the same color. You want to give it a little bit of gray. So that looks decent. It may look a little darker, but we can always adjust that later. So here is our Simpsons t-shirt. And I'm going to be taking a portion of the shirt and then copying it onto our Sims shirt and trying to make it smooth so all these wrinkles are going to disappear. What I'm going to do is come over here to the rectangular marquee tool, or you can press the letter M. And then I'm going to just make a square. And it's okay if you get some wrinkles. Don't worry about that. And I'm going to go to Edit, Copy, or you can do Control C. And I'm going to just put this aside because I don't need this right now. So we'll minimize it. Go back to our t-shirt. Okay, I'm using the left mouse button to just bring this viewport down a little bit for me. And I'm going to click Edit, Paste, or Control V. And now we have, if we just go to our selection tool up here, the Move tool, which is V. If we go to our Move tool up here, which is the letter V, we can now move our t-shirt logo to wherever we want it to be. Now you may say, well, I'm not really sure where I want it to be. I can't really see. We come over here and we're going to click from normal to linear burn, and we'll be able to see through. We're going to zoom in a little bit more for the sake of being able to really see. We're going to go to Edit. We're going to click on Free Transform, and you're going to see this like bounding area around your selection. Holding down the Shift key, we're going to take our left mouse button and hold that down as well, and we're going to shrink this down. The reason we do that is because let's say we weren't holding down the Shift key and we did this, it distorts it. Holding down the Shift key first keeps it proportional, and that's what we want. So we're going to keep it proportional. You're going to estimate where you want the logo to be. You don't want it to be too close to the collar. You don't want it to be too close to the bottom either. And you don't want it to be too big. Otherwise, it's going to go underneath the arm. You kind of want it to center in the middle. Okay, so we can make this a little bit smaller just to make sure it all fits. Then you can just click on your Move tool and it'll just give you that box and you hit Apply. You can Control Z, or you can go to Edit, step backward if you feel like you want to redo that. But that looks good enough to me. The next thing I'm going to do is take my Magic Wand tool, or the letter W. And when I say the letter W, I mean you can actually type the W key and this will come up. And I just want to select the background. Everything other than the yellow and the black of the logo, I want to select the background. I also want to hold down Shift and select everything around the background. So everything outside of this yellow and black is selected. I'm going to hide this bottom layer. I'm going to take my eyedropper tool, and I believe that is, okay, I think that's the letter L, or I believe it's the letter L. or I. It could be the letter I, which would make sense. So you're going to take your eyedropper tool. You're going to grab this color. The reason why if you take a look and keep your eye on that red that I just chose, if I grab the color from this, it turns darker because it's accounting for the darkness of the t-shirt behind it as well. So we don't want that. We want this color. Then you're going to take your paint bucket tool, which is G, and making sure it's on foreground. We're then going to do it once and then do it twice. If you see, when I did it the first time, there's this white, very thin white line here going around because it hasn't really captured everything. Doing it twice eliminates that. So now everything is a solid red all around it. Like I said, you weren't going to have to worry about the wrinkles. That usually eliminates them. So now we have a very dark red t-shirt with a yellow and black logo. And we kind of want to lighten this. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. We want to lighten our t-shirt. Not too much. We then go to Layer, Flatten Image. And now we can start to lighten everything all together. And like I said, you don't want to make it too neon red. So you do want to just kind of play with that a little bit. And then hit OK. You can go to File, Save, save it again. And let's bring it up and see how it looks. Let's see if it's too red, if it's too light, if it's too dark. We're going to go to Import in Sims4 Studio. And we're going to import our top. I like it. It is a little too dark. So we're going to go back to Photoshop. And we're going to adjust the brightness a little bit more. We're going to click Save yet again. And these are the settings, by the way, for you saving your DDS file in Photoshop. It's DXT5, ARGB, 8BPP, Interpolated Alpha. These are all the options, but that's the one you want to choose. Okay, DXT5. And then it should say 2D texture here. It should say generate MIP maps, all. And this will always come up. This box will always come up, but you won't have to change anything here. You just click Save. And we have it on our sim.
Okay, so we have created this t-shirt and it looks amazing. I love it. So what we're going to do now is go over, remember this, remember the colors that we can choose to show what color our creation is. We're going to right click, the eyedropper tool is going to come up, and we're going to start to select the colors that we want representing our top. So I'm going to select 3 colors. I'm going to select the red. I'm going to right click on this middle one. I'm going to select the yellow, and I'm going to right click on this last one and select black. We now have the exact colors of our shirt. The very next thing I'm going to do, once again, I think a mission has to do with objects. I don't believe I've ever seen anything for clothing in the mission. I'm going to go to Normal, and you can see some detailing for the t-shirt. I just click Make Blank. I'm going to go to Specular. Once again, I'm going to click Make Blank. Shadow I'm leaving because I have not changed the shape of the t-shirt. I have not altered the mesh. All I did was recolor it. You can delete it if you want to. It won't make a big deal. I promise. But if you'd like to just keep it in, just keep it. Okay? So you now pretty much have your package in a way that is going to be appealing in the game. Once again, we're coming over to this last tab category. Okay, that is marked categories. And we're going to be making some changes in here so that they show up in different sections in the game. So age and gender flags, it's going to be child. It's going to be for both male and females, or females and males. The colors are going to be red, black. We're going to uncheck green because that was what it was before. So red, black, and yellow. That'll help so that whenever the game randomizes, an outfit, it says, oh, okay, so there are reds and yellows and blacks in there. Let's pull some red shoes with this. Let's pull some, black pants with this. It'll help you color coordinate. It'll suggest items that will look really good with the shirt. Then, once again, age appropriate is going to be child. Fashion choice is going to be both feminine and masculine. As far as occult goes, I always just check everything, honestly. I think it's nice to be able to have any, type wear the clothing, as long as it's in the appropriate age group. Outfit type is going to be for athletic wear, for everyday wear. I'll even put for swimwear because you can wear it with boxers too. And just, why not? Why not be able to wear it around the pool? Situation, I still don't really know what that is. I'm just guessing it depends on whatever the situation calls for, that the game will decide, if they want to be able to use the item. We're going to take away party because it's not really a party shirt. We can sleep in it though. And it's a t-shirt, so it's for hot weather. The color palette is, I'm going to say earth tone because it's not dark, it's not light, it's somewhere in between. So I'm going to say earth tone. So I'm going to uncheck grayscale light. Jewel is for, I guess if there are jewels or something on it, anything sequin, or I have no clue. I'm unchecking winter because it's a t-shirt, so we're going to check summer. And it's not grayscale dark, so we're going to uncheck that, but we can wear it in the spring. So we have earth tones, summer, and spring. The fabric is going to be cotton, and I also choose synthetic. Sometimes I also choose wool. All depends on what mood I'm in. As far as the archetypes, I don't really, it's a t-shirt. It can be worn by anything, Caucasian, South Asian, island, And as far as the sub-part type, it is a t-shirt. And I always choose allow for random. I just leave that setting there. So I'm going to go back. We have everything we need. We have what we pull from Photoshop. We have our colors. We have our categories. We've deleted all of this so that it doesn't show up shiny in the game. We're going to click save. It's going to say your package has been saved. You say okay. And that's when you click cancel. Okay. And don't be afraid of clicking cancel. Don't freak out if you don't see a exit. That is what it is, because if you come back here and you click into your t-shirt again, it's there. Okay. So cancel is your exit button. I always come to my projects. It brings up the folder again. I right click. I select copy. And I go over to my mod folder. Okay. You can go to your mod folder and create a shortcut for your desktop so that you don't have to navigate to it. It'll be your PC, documents, electronic arts, the Sims 4, and mods. I have a separate folder called Symphony so that I can then put my creations in there, and I'm just going to right click and paste. And I'm just going to arrange it by date modified. And you see, I now have that t-shirt in here. That's in order to put it into the game. And make sure that you're putting your package file in there, which, as I said, whenever you bring this up, that'll be the only thing that you see offered. You won't see your Photoshop file or the DDS file. You'll see the package file. So you just want to take it and you want to put it into your mods folder. Be sure to just go through this series. Unless you saved your game file somewhere else, navigate to your mods folder. But if I'm not mistaken, this should be where it is. This is where it's placed automatically. And you just place it in your folder and it will show up in your game. So in the second half of this video, we're going to be recoloring the dress that we saved from the video prior to this one. It was that orange dress from the toddler pack. What I'm going to do is go back to the main page of Sims4Studio, and then I'm going to go to my projects and navigate to that folder. So it was toddler stuff dress. And here is the dress. We're going to open it up. And here is our dress. So the first thing I want to do is be sure that I saved my DDS image, which I did. And once I know that I have that saved, I can now go into Photoshop. And here is the pattern that we're going to be placing on the dress. It's a really cute Easter pattern. So we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Open. And we're going to navigate to that same folder. So it was toddler stuff dress. And here is our DDS file. We're going to open it. And here is our DDS image. Like we did in the first half of the video, we're going to hold out Control and we're going to press the plus key. And if you don't know where the plus key is, it's right next to the backspace key. It's right to the left of it. We're going to go 3 times so that we can really center on our pattern. So this is, as you can tell, the dress part. And if you're wondering what this is, it's the bottom of the dress. If you take your right mouse button and you click it and you press up, you'll be able to see that there is a closure on the bottom of the dress. So this is this part. The first thing we're going to do is what we did with the green of the t-shirt. We're going to take away this orange color. The first thing we do is go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White, and that will make it into a gray color. And we just click OK without changing anything here. Makes it into a medium gray color. We're going to do as we did before, go to Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and we're going to brighten up the dress and play with the contrast a little so that we don't lose the definition, because if you just brighten it up without playing with the contrast, you're going to lose all of this really cool definition. We want to keep this. We want this to show through the pattern. So we are going to grab our pattern, and I just want to be sure. So as I showed you before, there are 2 modes with the paint bucket tool. There's foreground and then there's pattern. Foreground is if you just want to take this blue, for instance, and change the whole layer to blue. Pattern is if you want to take this layer and put a pattern on top of it. And that's what we're looking for. So what we're going to do is, I just want to be sure I save this pattern, and I did. And if you want to know how to save a pattern, once you've determined which pattern you want to make, and make sure that it repeats itself, okay, this repeats itself perfectly, you want to go to Edit, and you want to click on Define Pattern, and it's going to add it to your pattern library. So now that we don't need that anymore, because we already have it saved into our pattern library, we're going to come over here, and once again, click on the second to last button to create a new layer. Once we do that, we're then going to make sure we have chosen our pattern, make sure we have the pattern of our choice, and then we're going to use the fill tool to fill in our pattern. I'm going to press the Control key and zoom out twice just so that I can get a lay of the land. And then I'm going to change this normal once again to linear burn. So as you can see, our pattern is over the dress, and you can still see the definition of the puckered, top, the cinched top, as I like to call it. And as you can also see, the pattern is a little too big. So what we're going to do is zoom out one more time, Control negative or Control minus, and we're going to go to Edit and Free Transform. Just like what we did when we resized the Simpsons logo, we're going to hold down the Shift key and hold down one of the corners, and we're going to make our pattern as small as we'd like to make it. Now I'm going to just make it this small. I think that that's good enough. And we're going to click Apply. We're going to zoom in again so that we can see our pattern a little bit more closely, and I like that. It's a nice size. What I do, and I do this half out of OCD and the other half because it does kind of make it look a little bit more clear, I like to go to Filter, and it's going to show you all these different things you can do to it. You can, pixelate it. You can make it noisy, meaning you add little like speckles, like a TV on the wrong channel. That kind of staticky, just kind of looks like snow almost. You can do a lot of things to it. I like to go to the Sharpen option, and then I'm going to go down to Smart Sharpen. Smart Sharpen allows you to determine how much you want to sharpen the image. Right now I have it set to 54, so it's somewhere around there. It's a radius of 1.0 pixels. The settings is a default. It says remove Gaussian blur. So it's just going to remove just a little bit of the blur. That usually happens whenever you try to resize an image, especially if you make it smaller. So I have it set here, and this is my own, and you can change the amount. If you change it too much, it'll kind of look a little too perfect. It won't really look like cloth. You want to kind of leave it a little imperfect, just a little, I'm not going to say blurry, but not so sharp at the edges. So if you want to set the amount to 54 for your smart sharpen and the radius to 1.0 and just copy these settings, I think you should be good. And then I'm going to click OK. And you won't really see a visible change, okay? But you just will know that it's a little bit more clear now that you have shrunk now that the image is shrunken on top of your dress. It's just kind of like a reassuring feeling of knowing that it's not too blurry, that you did something to sharpen it just a little bit, just a little. So we now have the bottom of the dress that's white, but this dress, as you can see, the background color is a green color. We're going to come to our eyedropper tool, which is over here. And we're going to select from down here, not up here, because this will become a darker color. We're going to select from over here some of this green. We're going to come to our paintbrush tool, and we're just going to go over it so that the bottom of it matches the color, the background color of the dress. Now, once we do that, you can leave the dress this way. It'll look really cute. It'll still, kind of convey exactly what you're looking for it to. But there is one more step I like to take, and it may be a little complicated, but I promise you that you'll understand once you see it. So I am going to go to my selection or my move tool, and I'm going to take this layer, hold down my left mouse button, and drag it to the create a new layer section so that I can copy it. Now you can either do this to really make your pattern stand out, or you can play with the brightness and hue and saturation, just to kind of see how you can get the pattern to stand out a little bit more on your dress. I'm going to go and step backward because I actually like how light this is. I don't really think that the other pattern on top of it is necessary, but I do want the dress's details to come out a little bit more. So I'm going to do the same thing with my background. I'm going to copy it down, and I'm going to use my left mouse button to move it to the top layer, and everything's going to disappear. You want to go and change this to linear. And now you have a really, really detailed dress. Okay? You may say, oh, I don't like this. It looks dirty. It looks really, dark. Don't worry. We're going to fix that. We're coming over here to our opacity. Okay? And we're going to change that. We're going to move it from 100% down to, I'm going to say about, let's say 70%. So somewhere around 70%. We're also going to go down to this bottom layer and click on that with your left mouse button. We're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Brightness and Contrast. And we're going to brighten that just a little bit as well. This way, you have your puckered top really showcasing through the pattern. We can also enhance the pattern a little bit by choosing the layer that the pattern is on, which is the middle layer, going to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and just making it a little bit more in saturated color. You don't want to change anything else. You just really want to make sure that the colors kind of pop. Now you may say, I still don't like this. It still looks really dark. If you want to delete the top layer, you can. If you want to make this darker again, you can. This is just my preference. And I'm going to go to Layer. I'm going to go to Flatten Image. And then I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, brightness and contrast. I'll move this out of the way so you can see what happens. And I'm just going to brighten everything all together. So now you have a dress where your background puckering from the original dress pattern shows. And your pattern has this really nice, bright, colorful look. Okay, we're going to click OK. We're going to go to File, Save. We're going to once again keep our settings. And we're going to click on Save. Once our pattern is saved, we're going to come back, and I'll just take my right mouse button and just right up, or just put my toddler's model in the right place. And I'm going to go to make sure I'm in diffuse, go to import, and I'm going to choose the DDS file we just created. And here you have the dress. Now, if you still think it looks a little dark, you can always come back and make your tweaks. I think it does look a little dark, so I'm going to make it a little bit brighter. I'm going to save it again. The box is going to pop back up. Like I said, get used to that box popping up. It's going to save again. And then we're going to go back and we'll import it again. And there. Now we have a really nice bright dress. Hasn't lost any of the colors, so they don't look washed out. And you can also still see the puckering. So you get to keep the integrity of your dress. And as you can see, the bottom is a darker color so that, it's supposed to be darker. It's underneath the dress. So you basically have everything that you need to make a really cute Easter dress for your toddler girl. So for this one, we're going to pick random colors. We're going to pick the yellow on the chickie. I like this color. It stands out to me too. And we're going to choose the blue. You can choose any color that you want. Then we're going to go to emission. Of course, there's nothing there. Normal. There's nothing there either. Specular. There's nothing there. Shadow. There is something there, but we haven't changed the shape of the dress. Now, we deleted all of these in the last video, which is why there's nothing there. So make sure that you do check, because if not, your sim is going to look like it's covered in baby oil and standing out in the summer sun. I promise you. If you do want to learn how to do the specular and the normal, I'm sure that there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube. I'm sure that there are plenty of tutorials on Sims4Studio. I really don't have an interest in doing these. I just like my clothing to just look flat on the sim. I just kind of feel like adding these just kind of makes it look a little too detailed. I like just using the subtle, background patterns of the actual clothing. I know it sounds boring, but like I said, there are tutorials out there that can help you if you'd like to learn how to make it pop out even more in the game. And it'll only pop out, if I'm not mistaken, at high settings. So if somebody's using the low settings on their game, it's not going to pop out. So then we're going to go to categories and make sure that everything is selected that should be. So age and gender flags, toddler, female. And the colors, we're now going to change the colors because they're no longer reddish orange like our dress originally was. So we'll start off here. I'm going to say white because we definitely see white for the bunny, black for the eyes, blue for the birds, yellow, definitely, pink, I don't see brown. Green is really the background of the dress and also these eggs. I guess we could also count this as purple. I'm not really sure. You could always put that in there. And there's no gray. So the age appropriate target is toddler. The fashion choice is feminine. As far as occult, I have everything checked off from the last video. The outfit type is going to be everyday, situation, party, and hot weather. The color palette is going to be grayscale light instead of earth tones. That orange that we had initially for the dress, that was more so earth tones, but this is grayscale light, and it's good for summer and spring. The fabric is going to be cotton, synthetic, and I kind of want to put wool, so I will. Wool is a kind of a heavier, fabric, and I could see this kind of being a wool. Once again, I don't do anything with archetype. Subpart type is going to be short dress. And I always allow for random with the part flags. And we save. Then we're going to go to My Projects. We're going to copy our dress. So we right click, press copy. We're going to navigate to our mods folder, which once again is located on your PC, Documents, Electronic Arts, The Sims 4 mods, unless you've moved it somewhere else. And it is now in game and ready to be previewed. So I'm going to show you what both of our creations look like in the Create a Sim screen so that you can see it on your sim live and in color. Here's our t-shirt. And as you can see, it looks amazing in game. And it can be worn by both little boys and little girls. And here is our toddler girl's dress. So just to give you a couple of poses so you have an idea of how it moves in the game. I think it came out really nicely. It's really adorable. And I promise you that when you make your recolors and you see them in game and see how adorable they look, you're going to feel an incredible sense of accomplishment. And I promise you, it's going to be worth every penny. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And once again, if you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out.